You are listening to the story on the Midnight Story Bureau YouTube channel. The following is the Reverend Insanity series. Episode 8. Time flew by, and before they knew it, it was mid-June. Mid-June, from the 11th to the 20th of each month. On a summer night, a bright golden full moon hung high in the sky, illuminating the mountains and forests. The wind blew in gusts, causing leaves and moonlight to drift together. Cicadas croaked and frogs croaked, and occasionally a wolf's howl echoed from afar, reverberating through the mountains and forests. At a riverbank, stream water eroded smooth, white round stones. Beside it, a battle was taking place. The wild boar had long, deep wounds all over its body. Its four legs thrashed about before it charged at Fang Yuan again. Blood gushing from its wounds, a trail of bright red blood falling. Fang Yuan fought it without a hint of panic. This wild boar was severely wounded and near death. But when a wild beast is in this state, it is at its most dangerous. They emitted the last vestiges of their life force, becoming even more frenzied and difficult to deal with. One wrong move and you'd be tossed around, your belly ripped open by their fangs. Fang Yuan's expression was incredibly calm, under the moonlight. His deep eyes gleamed with a cold light. He possessed the accumulated experience of 500 years. While immersed in battle, he allowed a part of his spirit to detach from the fight, remaining vigilant of his surroundings. Many times during his wild boar hunts, other creatures would come to disrupt him, sometimes wild boars, sometimes wolves, and even once a stray tiger. As time passed, the wild boar's attack finally slowed down. Fang Yuan's eyes brightened. He suddenly took a few quick steps forward, approaching the wild boar, then crouching down and hoisting it onto his shoulder. "Higher!" Fang Yuan shouted softly, his face flushed, his hands supporting himself as he lifted the wild boar high. The wild boar struggled weakly. Fang Yuan's body swayed unsteadily. He used all his strength to throw the wild boar down. With a loud crash, the boar slammed into a large rock on the riverbank. It let out a pitiful scream, accompanied by the sound of breaking ribs. It fell from the rock, hot blood gushing from its ears, nose, and mouth. It struggled a few more times, but finally breathed its last. Silence returned to the surroundings. The river flowed gently, the bright red blood flowing downstream to the distance. "Now I can carry a wild boar. Tonight I'll try pushing the large rock in the tunnel." Fang Yuan stood there, panting, a hint of excitement hidden in his eyes. In recent days, he had been continuously using the white silk goo to illuminate his body, enhancing his strength. He clearly felt his power growing stronger and stronger. Previously, when fighting wild boars, he could only use the crescent blade to fight, but now he could even lift an entire wild boar. The process of developing his strength had made a leap forward. Of course, the white silk goo wouldn't increase Fang Yuan's strength indefinitely. The highest level was boar strength. At this limit, he couldn't use the white silk goo to increase it further. "Now I can lift an entire wild boar, but that doesn't mean I can directly fight a wild boar in a physical battle. It's like one strong man can lift another strong man, but the difference in strength between the two men isn't necessarily significant. My strength can still increase further." After feeding the white serpent goo all the pork, Fang Yuan used his knife to remove the tusks, and finally cut up the already severely damaged wild boar skin before entering the secret cave in the rocky crevice. As for the wild boar's carcass, he didn't need to deal with it. In the summer night, wild beasts roamed frequently, and it was likely that they would soon smell the blood and come to clean up for Fang Yuan. Ultimately, even if someone discovered it, it wouldn't matter. Fang Yuan had already processed the wounds on the wild boar's body with his knife, so the traces of the crescent blade attack would no longer be visible. Returning to the secret cave bathed in red light, Fang Yuan casually tossed the two wild boar tusks into a corner. The tusks clinked together, producing a crisp sound. In this corner of the cave, There was already a small pile of wild boar tusks, all the fruits of Fang Yuan's recent hunting. Fang Yuan crawled straight into the tunnel, going to the end once more. Inside, the buzzing sound of his footsteps echoed, and his vision was filled with a dim red light. Everything remained unchanged. The large rock was still there, silently blocking the way. The pit where he had dug for the Earth Treasury flower had been filled in by Fang Yuan. HMPH. Fang Yuan approached the rock, raised both hands, and tried to push with all his might. Yet, his face flushed red, and despite using all his strength since infancy, the rock wouldn't budge. Right now, I can barely lift a wild boar with all my might. This large rock weighs at least as much as 5 or 6 wild boars combined. It's no wonder I can't push it. The inheritance of the flower wine practitioner isn't that easy. Fang Yuan's eyes flashed as he calculated in his mind. He didn't give up, simply crawling out of the tunnel and returning to the secret chamber above. Taking the bamboo tube from the corner of the wall, Fang Yuan sat down cross-legged on the ground, opened the lid, and poured out the animal skin map and bamboo slips inside. He unfolded the animal skin map and began silently memorizing it, occasionally drawing faint marks on the ground with his finger to aid his memorization. He had been doing this ever since he obtained the map. Fang Yuan didn't have any storage goo worms, nor could he carry the animal skin map with him. Carrying a bamboo tube on his back would be very inconvenient during battle. Therefore, Fang Yuan began trying to memorize the animal skin map in his head. Some things, though troublesome, are best done. People who are afraid of trouble and don't actively solve problems will eventually encounter even more troublesome situations. Fang Yuan understood this principle from his previous life. When I was young, my memory was really good. Now I've memorized more than half of the map in my head. If I were to memorize this when I'm old, I'd probably forget it as soon as I've finished. Ha ha ha. Of course, if I had a bookworm, I'd feed it this animal skin map. From now on, as long as the bookworm isn't lost, I can forever remember this map. Fang Yuan, having the wineworm and white silkworm goo, began to ask for more, hoping to obtain a bookworm. The value of the bookworm is equivalent to that of the wineworm and white silkworm goo. They are both rare and precious first-stage goo worms. Incredibly expensive, and always in short supply. In his previous life, Fang Yuan didn't get the wineworm and white silkworm goo, but unexpectedly acquired a bookworm. Later, this bookworm continuously advanced, accompanying him for 60 years. Forget it, the number of bookworms has always been very small. Even if I wanted one, I wouldn't be able to get one in a short time. Actually, since my rebirth, my circumstances have improved countless times compared to my previous life. In my previous life, at this point, I was still at the first stage of cultivation, while others like Fang Zheng, Qi Cheng, and Mo Bei had already reached the advanced stage and left me far behind. Fang Yuan wasn't the type to dwell on trivial matters. He thought for a moment and then calmed down. He was relatively satisfied with his progress today. He himself was at the mid-stage, and so were the others. It was quite remarkable that, despite his B-grade aptitude, he could still catch up with his peers who had A-grade and B-grade aptitude. The wineworm played a significant role in this. Besides that, it was also thanks to Fang Yuan's rich and experienced cultivation. On the other hand, it was also thanks to himself. He robbed and extorted all his classmates, and under the guidance of their elders, these people enthusiastically practiced martial arts. Therefore, this inadvertently affected their mental and physical strength, reducing the time they had to cultivate their acupoints, resulting in their cultivation being weaker in this life compared to Fang Yuan's previous life. But even so, they are not far from the high-level stage. The early stage of Gu master cultivation is relatively easy, and results can be seen in a short time, especially Gu Yue Fang Zheng, Gu Yue Mo Chen, and Gu Yue Qi Cheng. Their cultivation seems to have surpassed Fang Yuan's. As their cultivation continues to advance, Their innate talent or the strong support behind them has begun to show a clear advantage. The advantage Fang Yuan painstakingly created by using the wineworm has almost disappeared. Of course, this also relates to his recent hunting trips and use of the white silk goo to enhance his strength, which has dispersed a considerable amount of his time and energy. Presumably, with time, someone will soon take the lead in advancing to the high stage. The first person to reach the high stage will receive a reward of 30 primeval stones. But I don't intend to compete for this reward. Fang Yuan had already made his decision. If he temporarily abandoned the white silk goo and focused all his efforts on reaching the high stage, he would still have a chance of winning. However, this wasn't what Fang Yuan desired. While 30 primeval stones were good, he wasn't short of them at the moment. The main reason was that he needed to be humble, conceal himself, and minimize the attention of others. Only then could he safely inherit the legacy of the wine flower practitioner. This was his primary goal. The rewards in the academy are merely a small incentive to motivate students to cultivate diligently, and also part of the family system. Clinging to these small benefits is not something a wise person would do. Fang Yuan stopped thinking and focused his attention on the animal skin map. The map had two sides. The front recorded daytime conditions, while the back recorded nighttime conditions, with various colorful lines interwoven on it. These lines, whether straight or curved, represented specific meanings. Only Old Man Wang understood it best. But unfortunately, he was dead. Even if he were alive, forcing him to explain might not have been the truth. Over the past few days, Fang Yuan, relying on his own knowledge and experience, and comparing it with the bamboo slips, had almost successfully deciphered the entire map. The red cross mark probably represents danger, a forbidden area. The place marked with the cross seems to be surrounded by a herd of wild boars. Likely a king boar. With my current strength, encountering a king boar would be certain death. HMPH. Fang Yuan thought of Old Man Wang and couldn't help but snort coldly. The red cross mark in this area wasn't on the bamboo slip. If Fang Yuan had actually believed the bamboo slip, he would probably have died under the tusks of a king boar one day. This Old Man Wang was truly cunning and experienced. He wanted revenge for his son's murder but didn't act himself, instead using the king boar's power. That way, if it killed Fang Yuan, he wouldn't be implicated. But what do these three red circles represent? Fang Yuan wondered, puzzled. This was the last suspicious point on the animal skin map. 3 red circles were marked in 3 very secluded and far-flung locations, surrounded by few animals, considered safe havens in the wilderness. The red cross represents a forbidden area. So what do the red circles represent? Fang Yuan fell into deep thought again. Generally speaking, red is the most eye-catching color. Old Man Wang drawing red circles in these 3 places means these 3 locations are very important to him. It's a pity these 3 places are so far away. Otherwise, I would have gone to investigate myself and found out. Chapter 72. Every organization needs loyalty. On a hot summer day, the mountain wind carried a dry chill, and the Qingmao mountain was steaming. In the blink of an eye, the end of June arrived. Gu Yue Fang Zheng. In the academy, the elder was calling out names. Gu Yue Fang Zheng rose from his seat and walked to the front of the academy elder. Under the admiring gazes of his classmates, Fang Zheng received a heavy bag of spirit stones. Fang Zheng, you are the first to advance to a higher stage. This is your reward. Well done. Keep up the good work. The academy elder smiled happily, patting Fang Zheng on the shoulder. Fang Zheng nodded, his face full of excitement. He took the bag of money and returned to his seat with a surge of emotion. Finally, I did it, the first to advance to a higher stage. Brother, you see, I finally beat you once. His eyes shone as he glanced at Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan was still snoring soundly on the desk. Last night, he hunted a wild boar. After returning to the dormitory, He used the white silk goo to illuminate his body, absorbed the natural true essence from the raw stone, and refined it with wineworms. Finally, he used high-grade true essence to nourish his acupoints, working continuously until dawn. He hurriedly ate breakfast, and by the time class started, he collapsed onto his desk, unable to get up. He was truly exhausted. Even cultivating as a goo master couldn't replace sleep. HMPH. Even if you don't admit it and pretend to be asleep, this is still the truth. Brother, I've finally surpassed you. This is the first time. And there will be a second. A third. Fang Zheng clenched his fists. This success meant a great deal to him. Finally, he had parted the fog that Fang Yuan had been covering for so long, allowing a ray of light to shine through. Although this ray of light was very, very small, it brought Fang Zheng endless hope and encouragement. HMPH. Defeated by Fang Zheng again, Gu Yue Mo Bei sat with his arms crossed, feeling somewhat resentful. Is this the advantage of a class of talent? Damn it. Gu Yue Chi Cheng's face darkened. The longer he cultivated, the more deeply he felt the benefits of superior talent. Even with his grandfather Gu Yue Chi Lian's support and his own best efforts, he was still left behind by Fang Zheng. If I had a wineworm and my grandfather's help, I might not be unable to defeat Fang Zheng. Those damned Fang brothers. My younger brother is Class A suppressing us. My older brother, though Class B, has a wineworm. Why do they monopolize all the good things in the world? Gu Yue Chi Cheng was seething with anger. Quote. This time, Fang Zheng led the way in breaking through to the high stage. That's understandable. Who told him to have such high-grade talent? That's right, even Mo Bei, Chi Cheng, and Fang Yuan were defeated by Fang Zheng. This time, Fang Zheng has taken all the spotlight by himself. Fang Yuan is too pathetic without the wineworm. He's always so listless, always sleeping during class. Why don't you give me his wineworm? The students around the table murmured, expressing their unwillingness, regret, or envy. The academy elder called out each name, and the students successively went forward to receive their spirit stone allowance before returning to their seats. Everyone be quiet. After distributing all the allowances, the academy elder tapped the table. In an instant, the entire academy fell silent again. Time flies, and you've all mastered the second ancient insect, even breaking through to the advanced stage. 6 months ago you diligently trained, and today you have a solid foundation. Now it's time to go out into the wilderness and hone your skills. That's real combat, not fighting with insignificant opponents like grass or wood creatures. Next is the announcement regarding the mid-year examination. The mid-year examination will be held 3 days from now, and all students must participate. The examination content is hunting wild boars, and the tusks collected will be used as a score. The more tusks collected, the better the score. After the examination, each wild boar tusk can be exchanged for 10 blocks of spirit stones. Furthermore, group hunting is permitted. As soon as the words of the elder of the academy were spoken, the entire academy erupted in cheers. Finally, it's time for the mid-year examination. Each course of study lasts a year, with one mid-year and one end-of-year examination. The mid-year examination is about to begin. The content of each course's examination is different. Unexpectedly, our mid-year examination is wild boar hunting. But what are we going to do? My aptitude is only average, and my innate goo isn't an offensive goo like the moonlight goo. How am I supposed to hunt wild boars? Quote. Didn't you hear? The elder said we're allowed to hunt in teams. If our aptitude isn't good or our goo isn't good, we can help each other and cooperate. Then, everyone can divide the wild boar tusks we get. Quote. Each wild boar tusk can be exchanged for 10 spirit stones. This is the Academy's reward to encourage us to hunt more wild boars. In fact, at market price, 1 spirit stone could buy 20 wild boar tusks. The students displayed various expressions. Some were joyful, Some were expectant, and others were calling out to their friends. Even Fang Yuan's expression changed slightly. Things have changed. I clearly remember the mid-year examination in my previous life was about collecting wild honey. Unexpectedly, it's now changed to hunting wild boars. Is this the butterfly effect? A butterfly's flap of its wings can cause a storm on the other side of the ocean. A small change, through cumulative effects, can eventually become a major one. Since his rebirth, Fang Yuan has made many changes, and his current circumstances are very different from his previous life. In his previous life, he was long surpassed by Fang Zheng and his group, but in this life, he stubbornly stands among the top students. In his previous life, he didn't kill Gu Jinsheng, and he never even saw Gu Jinsheng's face. But in this life, he not only killed Gu Jinsheng but also unearthed the secrets of the flower wine practitioner's treasure. These changes are like a butterfly's flapping wings, indirectly influencing those around him. The changes to the mid-year examination content were only the first clear sign. If I continue to exert such influence, could history be completely altered next? If so, my advantage in being reborn will be greatly diminished. Fang Yuan appeared calm on the outside, but inwardly sighed. A feeling of urgency and helplessness simultaneously overwhelmed his mind, but he quickly recovered. No matter what, if it has already happened, there's no way to stop it. I need to actively change myself. Even if everything changes completely, I won't let these anxieties slow down my progress. Quote, in my previous life, I faced an entirely unknown future. Surely I have the courage in this life. Ha ha, even if the world is full of thorns, I want to trample them all and carve out a bloody path. Each tusk can be exchanged for 10 blocks of spirit stones. That's a really high price. Should I take out the pile of wild boar tusks from the cave? If I take them out, will it arouse suspicion? No, perhaps, given the current political situation of the ancient moon tribe. If I brazenly throw out the tusks, I might be able to get a chestnut from the furnace. Fang Yuan secretly shook his head again. This was a bit too risky. If he really threw out these tusks, what could he gain? More than 100 blocks of spirit stones. Wait, spirit stones aren't that important. Maybe I should use this opportunity to build my image a bit. Thinking this, Fang Yuan's eyes couldn't help but gleam. He needed to quietly make a fortune, becoming even more humble. If the secret of the flower wine practitioner's inheritance were discovered, he wouldn't even be able to protect his own life. However, his current position was somewhat inconvenient. He was at odds with all his classmates who were free outside the system. In the eyes of the higher echelons, he was a cold, rational, stubborn, and disgruntled young man with a B-grade aptitude. This impression wasn't good. It was tantamount to labeling him disloyal. And loyalty was essential to any family. In fact, any organization. No matter the world, loyalty was one of the values that was loudly proclaimed. Loyalty to the family. Loyalty to the country. Loyalty to the leader. Loyalty to love. Loyalty to friends. And so on. As Fang Yuan's cultivation level increased, the higher echelons would pay more attention to him. And when necessary, the family would use harsh measures against Fang Yuan. At that point, Fang Yuan would be very passive. Fang Yuan didn't like being passive. He preferred to hold the initiative in everything. Because of a series of previous events, Fang Yuan could only do as much as he could, using leverage against force, and creating this impression that was merely self-protection against immediate events. Now, self-protection is no longer the issue. The problem is that Fang Yuan must become stronger. Therefore, he needs to change this impression, making the higher echelons think that he has bowed down and joined the family system. But this change cannot be too abrupt, lest it arouse their suspicion. More importantly, joining the system is merely symbolic. Fang Yuan cannot truly join and be controlled and restricted. He has too many secrets, he needs more freedom, so the reality is that he will continue to act alone as before. This mid-year examination is an opportunity. It seems I need to take action. Let's start with this extortion. Fang Yuan's eyes were calm. Everything was within his plan. Chapter 73, The Mysterious Red Circle Symbol. You said that this time Fang Yuan extorted the students. Although he defeated Fang Zheng, Qi Cheng, and Mo Bei, he spared them and didn't take their spirit stones. Hearing the guard's report, the academy elder was slightly surprised. I wouldn't dare deceive you, sir. It's indeed true, the guard kneeling on the ground immediately replied. The academy elder said nothing more, only waved his hand and said, I already know about this matter. You may leave. Your subordinate takes his leave. After the guard left, the academy elder fell into deep thought. He had always been concerned about this matter, worried that Fang Zheng, after being rewarded with 30 spirit stones, would be extorted again by Fang Yuan. If that were the case, the academy's reward of spirit stones would be completely meaningless. It would be better to simply give it all to Fang Yuan. If Fang Yuan actually did that, the academy would absolutely not allow it, and the academy elder was already prepared to severely punish Fang Yuan. However, the old man didn't expect that this time. Fang Yuan not only didn't want these 30 spirit stones but also proactively spared Mo Bei, Qi Cheng, and Fang Zheng. Fang Yuan already has hundreds of spirit stones, so perhaps he disdains these 30, which is understandable, but why would he proactively not extort Mo Bei, Qi Cheng, and Fang Zheng? The old man pondered for a long time, his furrowed brows gradually relaxing. He understood now. Mo Bei, Qi Cheng, and Fang Zheng could be said to represent the three major forces in the family. Fang Yuan sparing them, needless to say, meant he was proactively showing goodwill towards these three major forces. This was also easy to understand. Fang Yuan had changed his way of thinking, wanting to show that he was bowing to the family. It's understandable, through continuous cultivation, even though Fang Yuan possesses the wineworm, it's enough for him to realize that his innate talent of the Bing type is insufficient. He's already caused trouble several times before, and most of his dissatisfaction has been released. Now, he's probably feeling quite weak-hearted and resentful. Quote, it seems the clan leader's words are still reasonable. After all, Fang Yuan is only a 15-year-old boy. How could he dare challenge and leave the clan system? Now that he's initially accepted the humiliation, once he finds his place, reintegrating into the clan is a matter of course. Thinking this, the clan elder felt relieved, his mood brightening. 3 days passed in a flash. The mid-year examination arrived. Quick, quick, I've brought the wild boar, a young man shouted anxiously, running like crazy. A swirling vortex of pale green wind wrapped around his legs. It was thanks to these two swirling vortices that a young boy like him could surpass the speed of ordinary mortals. However, the wild boar chasing after him was increasing in speed, and the distance between them was closing in. The blazing sun shone through the trees, illuminating the wild boar, making its tusks gleam white like snow. The wild boar's coming. Pull the rope tight. The 4 teenagers lying in ambush pulled hard on the thick rope hidden in the bushes. The teenager running lightly leaped over the rope barrier and continued running madly forward. Meanwhile, the wild boar behind him tumbled and rolled 5 or 6 feet on the ground. Ouch! The 4 teenagers were also pulled by the rope, falling to the ground like the wild boar. Up ahead, the teenager running ahead turned around and shouted. The people on the ground scrambled to their feet and surrounded the wild boar. Crack. A tiny sapling was slammed into by a wild boar. Its trunk snapped, and its branches fell to the ground. That was dangerous. Gu Yue Qi Cheng wiped the cold sweat from his forehead, still trembling with fear. Luckily, I used the dragon ring curve technique to jump 3 feet to the left in time. Otherwise this little tree would have been my end. Whoosh! Moonblades flew through the air, striking the wild boar's body, creating a long, Thin wound. Gu Yue Mo Chen seemed excited. His eyes gleaming, his mind completely absorbed in the fight. After half an hour, the wild boar, having lost too much blood, finally collapsed. Gu Yue Mo Chen panted, plopping down onto the ground, his body covered in mud and weeds, and drenched in sweat. Fighting a live wild boar is indeed completely different from training with wooden or straw dummies. It took me half an hour to kill one wild boar. I wonder how the others are doing. On a secluded hill, a makeshift tent was erected, its peak catching the blazing sun while providing shade below. Several armchairs were laid out, and the head of the academy sat upright in the main seat. Beside him sat other elders, along with several ancient masters standing behind them. Several ancient masters were also hiding in the surrounding forest. Suddenly, the forest ahead stirred with unusual commotion. Whoosh! An ancient master, like a shadow, darted out of the forest and then knelt outside the tent. "How are things?" the head of the academy asked him. Reporting to the esteemed elder, "So far there have been no casualties among the students," the Gu master hastily replied. "Not bad, not bad. The mid-year examination has been going on for a whole morning. Yet no one has been injured. This is unusual compared to previous years. It seems the academy's elders know how to teach well." The other elders nodded in satisfaction, unanimously praising him. The academy elder shook his head. He knew the reason. This was due to Fang Yuan's sudden rise, extorting money from his fellow students, forcing this cohort to diligently practice basic martial arts, leading to the current situation. He looked at the kneeling Gu master and continued to ask, "So, whose performance has been better so far?" The elder immediately replied, reporting to the Lord, "As of now, Gu Yue Fang Yuan, Fang Zheng, Mo Bei, and Qi Cheng are at the top of the list. Among them, Qi Cheng has killed 3 wild boars. Fang Zheng and Mo Bei have killed 5 each, and Fang Yuan has the most, having harvested 8. Unexpectedly, Fang Yuan is temporarily leading. A student of the 2nd and 3rd tiers is being suppressed by a student of the 4th tier. Such a situation is extremely rare. Doesn't he have the wineworm? In other words, his bronze-level true essence has reached a high stage. It's understandable that he could achieve such results." Quote, "I'm sure that Fang Zheng, Mo Bei, and Qi Cheng will surpass him next. Although he has the wineworm, his true essence recovery speed is still far from being a match for students of the 2nd and 3rd tiers." The other elders began to discuss. "You may withdraw." The elder of the academy waved his hand at the kneeling Gu master. "Instruct the others to do a good job of protection. Especially the safety of Fang Zheng, Qi Cheng, and Mo Bei must be closely monitored." "Yes, sir." The Gu master withdrew. This kind of wilderness combat was the first time for most of the students. So there was always a certain degree of danger, and the family had naturally made arrangements in advance. More than 10 second-stage Gu masters were hiding in the mountains and forests, monitoring the process and safety of the examination. At the same time, several third-stage Gu masters were also stationed here, ready to respond to any unexpected situation at any time. The scorching sun slowly descended from the zenith into the northwestern mountains. The twilight transformed into streaks of fiery clouds, like the last flames of the sun. The setting sun shone into the mountains and forests, and another wild boar fell to the ground. The 23rd one, Fang Yuan silently calculated in his head, then squatted down and skillfully pried out a fangs. He was carrying a bag on his back, which contained quite a few wild boar tusks. At the same time, he also had another bag containing tusks, making it seem as if he had secretly killed a wild boar and obtained them earlier. These tusks were originally stored in a cave in the rocky crevice, and Fang Yuan had secretly taken them out the night before, pretending to put them in the bag and burying them in a hidden place. "I know the terrain and the distribution of wild boars well," And I also have high-grade true essence to activate the moonlight goo. Combined with the little light goo, the efficiency of hunting wild boars of others is definitely not as high as mine. Just with the bag on my back, I can guarantee first place. In a while, I'll take out another bag. I wonder what the others' expressions will be like then. Ha ha. Fang Yuan looked up at the sky. It was time to go get another bag. Thinking of this, a map immediately appeared in his mind. Over the past few days, he had carefully memorized the animal skin map in his head. Fang Yuan knew his current location very well. He only needed to turn left and follow a stream for about a quarter of an hour to reach the place where he had hidden the bag. However, just as he was about to stand up, he hesitated. From my current position, I'm only 500 or 600 meters from the nearest red circle symbol. This is a rare opportunity. Should I go take a look? Once this thought arose, he couldn't stop himself. He had already secured victory, and Fang Yuan still had plenty of time. The animal skin map has 3 red circle symbols. These 3 places are incredibly important to Old Man Wang, and they're the only symbols whose meaning I can't decipher. I don't know what they indicate. Let's go take a look. Of course, Fang Yuan knew there would be Gu masters secretly observing during the examination. But he needed such witnesses. At this moment, he pretended to be going to continue hunting wild boars and ventured deeper into the mountains. After half an hour, he arrived at the location marked with a red circle on the map. It was a small wooden house hidden among an ancient tree with lush foliage. If one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't even notice it. Is this where Old Man Wang stayed while hunting? Fang Yuan frowned, his heart filled with suspicion. He crawled into the wooden house. When he saw the scene inside, his expression suddenly changed. Chapter 74, Wisdom Dispels the Fog. Revealing deadly intent. The wooden house wasn't large, but it was cluttered with many things, appearing incredibly messy at first glance. In the center of the floor was a thick, dark yellow fur blanket. Against the wall was an iron stove burning dry wood, with a copper kettle on top, its interior blackened with burning coals, and piles of unburned firewood on either side. Don't think it was summer. The nights in the mountains were still cold. Although the stove was small, the fire was enough to warm the entire wooden house. The house had 2 windows. 2 or 3 ropes were tied around the frame of one window, stretched across the room, and then secured to the frame of the other. On the ropes hung tattered, patched clothes, clearly adult clothing. These clothes were still slightly damp, not completely dry. The setting sun shone through the windows, illuminating the wooden house. Inside the dimly lit wooden house, the iron axe handles and hunting knives in the corners were wrapped in animal hides, their blades stained with dark red. On another wall, a piece of bamboo paper was pasted, with a dagger stuck in the center. The bamboo paper depicted the face of a young man, unexpectedly. It was Fang Yuan. Everything indicated that someone had been living in seclusion in this elusive wooden house recently. This person's purpose was obvious. Fang Yuan, the one depicted on the bamboo paper. The dagger stuck in the paper profoundly expressed their terrifying intentions. Faced with such a scene, Fang Yuan himself couldn't help but turn pale. What does this person want? Why is he targeting me? No, or perhaps it's not me, but Fang Zheng. Fang Yuan's thoughts raced. Fang Zheng possessed the A-grade talent, the only A-grade genius of the ancient Moon tribe in the past 3 years. The hope of the ancient Moon tribe. If he could be trained, he would be the next leading figure of the clan. However, training ultimately requires a process. During this process, there are accidents caused by fate, and even more disasters caused by humans. Accidents caused by fate are not worth mentioning. The main problem is the disasters caused by humans. Everyone knows that Mount Qingmao is not just home to the Gu Yue clan, but also the Bai clan and the Shun clan. These 2 forces would absolutely not tolerate the traditional overlord, The Gu Yue clan, successfully cultivating a genius of the highest caliber. Therefore, assassinating him is commonplace. In this world, geniuses are rare, and those who successfully mature are even rarer. Gu masters with the potential of the highest caliber are not unheard of. 3 years ago, such a genius appeared in the Gu Yue clan. And in previous years, such geniuses have appeared many times before. However, in all the years, the 3 major mountain strongholds on Qingmao Mountain have only produced one top-tier genius. Bai Ningbing of the Bai family stronghold, who has now reached the 3rd stage of cultivation. This phenomenon alone speaks volumes. Is this person from the Bai family stronghold or the Shung family stronghold? Are they going to start eliminating Gu Yue Fang Zheng now? Fang Yuan frowned, staring at the portrait on the wooden wall. But why does Old Man Wang's animal skin map have the symbol of this wooden house? Could Old Man Wang be a mole secretly planted by another force? No, this person is targeting me. A cold light flashed in Fang Yuan's eyes. At this moment, he recalled many images. The first image was when he was near the trap pit. He overheard a conversation between 4 young hunters. One hunter said, "Brother Wang, I say you're 19 this Lunar New Year. You should get married and have children." Wang said again, "HMPH, how could a true man be so infatuated with such petty beauty? One day, I want to leave Qingmao Mountain, wander the world, and travel everywhere. Only then will I truly be worthy of being a man." The second scene shows Wang after he personally took action. Remaining incredibly calm, he drew his bow, nocked an arrow, and aimed straight at Fang Yuan, while the other 3 begged for mercy. The third scene shows Fang Yuan's question. "I ask you, are there any other people left in Old Man Wang's household?" A hunter replied. Wang the hunter originally had a wife. But more than 10 years ago, she was killed by wild wolves that broke into the village. Before she died, she bore him 2 sons and a daughter. However, the eldest son, Wang Da, died 3 years ago while hunting in the mountains. There are no more members of the Wang family left. I remember now. Actually, Old Man Wang had a daughter-in-law, who was Wang Da's wife. But after Wang Da disappeared, his wife died of heartbreak. That year, the elders in the mountain village even specially built a shrine to chastity. But I heard that Wang Da's wife wanted to remarry, but Old Man Wang forced her to her death. Your Excellency, killing Old Man Wang is eliminating evil and bringing peace to the people. The other hunters quickly chimed in. That's right, Your Excellency. Actually, we've disliked this Old Man Wang for a long time. HMPH, what's so special about him? Isn't he just a hunter like us? Clearly, we're all ordinary people, yet he acts like he's so special, insisting on leaving the village and coming to live here. Many times, we younger generations wanted to ask him for advice, but he chased us away, not allowing us to even get near his wooden house. Old Man Wang's whole family moved out of the village, living alone. Wang Da's eldest son died in the mountains while hunting 3 years ago. Wang Da's wife wanted to remarry, but was forced to commit suicide by Old Man Wang, resulting in a shrine dedicated to chastity. Old Man Wang drove away all the young people who sought his hunting advice. Old Man Wang was determined to conceal the animal skin map. The bamboo slip given to Fang Yuan didn't depict the 3 red circles at all. Wang was young but very calm when facing Gu masters. Moreover, he hadn't married, harboring ambitions far beyond the ordinary. More importantly, the location marked by the red circle on the animal skin map was a secret dwelling place. There were clear signs of someone living there, and this person harbored intense animosity towards Fang Yuan or Fang Zheng. Each of these clues, if separated, would be difficult to uncover. But when connected, they were strangely intertwined. The more Fang Yuan thought, the more the thick fog surrounding him seemed to thin out. The setting sun shone through the window, illuminating his face, the dense rays of light resembling a blood-red hue. The surroundings seemed to fall into silence. Was someone watching from behind? Suddenly, Fang Yuan's eyes lit up, his gaze seemingly piercing through time. He had seen the truth. Wang Da is not dead. At this moment, his eyes shone brightly. Not only is he not dead, but he has coincidentally become a demonic goo master. It's not that ordinary people lack the aptitude for cultivation, but rather that the family system has always tightly controlled the methods of goo master cultivation. But things in the world are never absolute. Ordinary people also have precedents for becoming goo masters, such as unexpectedly encountering the hope goo in the wilderness and opening their apertures, inheriting a legacy, or secretly receiving instruction from a family member, and so on. But such goo masters have never been tolerated by their families, at most. They can only become outer circle members of the family. Therefore, those who are unwilling to accept their fate become solitary sorcerers, practicing extremely arduous cultivation, day after day. To compete for resources, they resort to burning, killing, and robbing, thus entering the demonic path. Due to some fortunate coincidence, most likely obtaining an inheritance from the corpse of a sorcerer, Wang Da became a sorcerer 3 years ago. To conceal his true identity, he spread false rumors that he was dead. In fact, no one ever saw his body. After Wang Da's family learned of this, they moved out of the village, risking attacks from wild beasts to live alone, all to continue concealing the truth. Every now and then, Wang Da would return home. Old man Wang would chase away the young men who came to his house seeking advice. After Wang stayed with his older brother Wang Da, his fear of sorcerers gradually disappeared, and naturally, he developed a desire to become a sorcerer himself and wander the world. Quote, because he was worried that Wang Da's whereabouts would be revealed. Even though Wang was so old, he didn't risk getting married. Wang Da couldn't stay at home forever, so old man Wang drew 3 red circles on the animal skin map. These 3 places were likely secret hiding places. A clever rabbit has 3 burrows. Wang Da alternated between these 3 places, living in the gaps between the forces of the 3 major mountain strongholds. Finally, at this moment, the meaning of these 3 red circles became clear. Red usually represents something prominent and important. For old man Wang, it represented the dwelling place of his eldest son. Therefore, when Fang Yuan asked old man Wang to draw the map, he didn't draw those 3 red circles on the bamboo paper because he wanted to protect his eldest son. At the same time, he omitted a few red crosses, wanting to avenge the murder of his son. Perhaps at a fixed time each year, Wang Da will have to return for a short while. After returning, he sees that his family is all dead. He secretly investigates and finds me. So he used a dagger to stab my painting. He must be seeking revenge. Thanks to his past life experiences, Fang Yuan was almost certain this was the truth. If another force wanted to assassinate Fang Zheng, they could have done it more secretly, and wouldn't need to plant a mortal spy like Old Man Wang. After all, Old Man Wang was at the foot of the mountain, not inside the ancient Moon Mountain village. I never imagined that I would attract a demonic assassin just for a map. Things in this world are truly miraculous. Fang Yuan couldn't help but chuckle sarcastically. He first killed Wang then Wang Lehan, and Wang Jia's younger sister to make it easier to obtain the animal skin map. Wang Lehan was the #1 hunter in the nearby villages, so his animal skin map was naturally the most valuable. At the time, he thought, the lives of 3 ordinary people. They didn't cause any major trouble, so killing them was easy. In this world, everyone has the right to live and everyone can die. Unexpectedly, he now encountered a demonic goo master. Fang Yuan had no regrets about this. On the contrary, he felt fortunate. If he had been merciful and lenient at that time, when he obtained the animal skin map from the Wang family, Wang Wang Lehan, and Wang Jia's younger sister would all have been a major obstacle. To protect Wang Da's secret, they would absolutely not have revealed the original. Wang fighting prowess was enough to kill a high-level first-rank goo master. Old Man Wang was even more experienced. If they were to actually kill, his threat would be even greater than Wang Er's. Even if he obtained the original, Old Man Wang would meticulously explain the matter to Wang Da, who would immediately receive accurate information about Fang Yuan, no matter how he handled it. He was in the shadows while Fang Yuan was in the open, always holding the initiative. Fortunately, I killed them right away. No matter what, I've always kept the situation under control. Even if I don't get the original, I won't suffer a great loss. I can still steal from other hunters. Moreover, I decisively killed Old Man Wang and his daughter, which will force Wang Da to spend time gathering intelligence on me. Needless to say, the two young hunters who survived must have been killed to silence them. Fang Yuan understood perfectly. Only a few people knew about the matter, and Wang Da wouldn't lay a hand on Jiang He. Once Jiang He dies, the clan will send people to investigate. But the two hunters who went missing in the mountains will be easily overlooked. Jiang He won't expose it either. Because of the clan's opinion of him, he might even cover up for Wang Da. Chapter 75: The Enlightenment of the Demonic Path. Inside the wooden house, Fang Yuan pondered incessantly. Using the wisdom accumulated from his experiences in his previous life, Fang Yuan had discovered the existence of Wang Da. But what was Wang Da's strength? Fang Yuan had never seen Wang Da before. Yet the things before him were enough for him to analyze a great deal of information. Courage is built upon strength. He has gathered information about me, yet he still wants revenge. This means he thinks he's certain of success. It seems his cultivation level must be higher than the first stage. Quote, for the past 3 years, he's been lurking around this red circle, struggling to survive in the gap between the 3 major mountain strongholds. Almost daily at risk of being discovered, facing countless dangers. This indicates he doesn't yet have the ability to venture out alone. A Gu master who wants to wander alone must at least have a 3rd stage cultivation level. Therefore, the preliminary prediction is that he has a cultivation level of the 2nd stage. A cold glint flashed in Fang Yuan's eyes, judging by his disappearance 3 years ago. And his cultivation reaching the 2nd stage today. His aptitude must be from the C-type to the B-type. And the total amount of true essence in his apertures is between 4 and 7/10. For the past 3 years, he has been able to survive, and even return home right under Jiang He's nose. It seems his Gu worms must have the effect of concealing his whereabouts. In a battle between Gu masters, information is paramount. Although Fang Yuan didn't possess any scouting Gu worms, with his experience and intelligence, he could roughly analyze Wang Da's cultivation level and Gu worms. Before long, he had pictured a demonic Gu master consumed by hatred for the murder of his family, silently hiding somewhere to kill him. I can kill others, and of course others can kill me. There's nothing strange about that. Fang Yuan couldn't help but laugh. In this world, everyone has the right to live. And everyone can die. The killer is often the one who gets killed if he kills. He must also be prepared to be killed if he is killed and simply dies. It's nothing terrible, and he will absolutely not regret it. This is the path he has chosen. Fang Yuan had long understood this point. This is the enlightenment of the demonic path. If Wang Da wants to kill me, this mid-year examination is definitely a good opportunity. Normally, the students are all in the mountain stronghold. With his 2nd rank cultivation, he wouldn't be able to sneak into the stronghold. That would be pure suicide. He probably figured out that I might be out hunting, but the Qingmao Mountains are so vast that it would be too difficult for him to hide and track me down alone. This is the opportunity he has the best chance to strike. He's a 2nd rank Gu master. Moreover, a demonic Gu master forged through the struggle for survival, enduring hand-to-mouth existence for the past 3 years. With my current combat power, I'm certainly no match for him, but that doesn't mean I have no chance of survival. Escape. Fang Yuan decided on his course of action in an instant. To survive, there's nothing shameful about it. If you can't fight back, then just escape. The idea of breaking through in battle is completely impossible for Gu masters. Challenging opponents of a higher level is possible, but that depends on those Gu masters possessing special Gu worms. Fang Yuan has quite a few Gu worms, but the spring-autumn cicada is nearly dead and in a deep sleep. Unusable. The wine worm, white silk Gu, little light Gu, and moonlight Gu are not trump cards for challenging opponents of a higher level. Knowing you can't win but still fighting to the death, that's called fiery. Bloodthirsty is foolish. Even if he wins, it's only because fate has favored him. Fang Yuan has always been cautious throughout his life, even with a trump card up his sleeve. If the odds of winning are small, he will try his best to avoid battle. He likes to control the situation, using all sorts of methods to maximize his chances of winning. His favorite fighting style is a sure win battle. Only when there is no other way does he risk a fierce fight. Therefore, what he often does is bully the weak. He plunders resources, constantly becoming stronger. Only when he surpasses the initial level of his enemy does he retaliate, continuing to bully the weak. There's nothing shameful about this. Proving one's courage by proactively challenging and risking one's life against a strong enemy is foolish. But the value of this foolishness is always praised and commended. This is because any organization needs the relentless sacrifice of individuals to protect its interests. High level. Just think about it. Survival is the prerequisite for all activity. Surviving and fulfilling one's ideals is the greatest courage a person can possess. To die for an ideal is foolish. To cling to life and fear death for an ideal is the mark of a true hero. On Earth, Han Xin endured the humiliation of crawling through someone's legs. Cao Cao cut off his beard and threw away his clothes because he was being hunted. King Gujian of Yue had to taste the excrement of his enemies to survive, demonstrating his loyalty. Therefore, they gained glory, honor, and dignity. No matter which organization in the world it is, they all extol this value. The more sacrifice is needed, the more it is praised. Such as in the military. Where should I run to minimize the chances of encountering Wang Da? A map appeared in Fang Yuan's mind. Wang Da knows I have the animal skin map. He's probably waiting in the forest right now, searching around based on the distribution of the wild boar herd on the map. I can't go to those places. I can only go against the norm to find a way to survive. Thinking this, a somewhat crazy and vague return route formed in Fang Yuan's mind. The sun set over the mountains and forests, casting countless shadows, the wild grass lush and green. A pair of bloodshot eyes were hidden in the thick darkness. In those eyes lay an undying hatred and rage, as if even a raging river couldn't wash it away. Fang Yuan, I've finally found you. Wang Da gritted his teeth, devouring this name in his heart. Under his intense gaze, a tall, thin, pale-faced youth was rushing through the mountains and forests. The enemy was right before him, yet Wang Da didn't act, instead shifting his gaze to several other locations. In these locations, a hidden object was concealed. The Gu master was supervising. To prevent cheating and provide timely medical assistance, more than 10 second-rank Gu masters were scattered around the area, along with several third-rank Gu masters guarding the distant mountain slopes. Wang Da moved cautiously through the mountains and forests, gathering considerable intelligence. If I want to kill Fang Yuan, I must eliminate the 3 Gu masters surrounding him first. Otherwise, once I appear, I'll be ambushed. Or, even if I kill Fang Yuan first, I'll be surrounded and killed by the Gu masters who are following him. I already have a mid-stage second-rank cultivation, with 5% of my true essence remaining. To launch a preemptive strike, I must first kill these 3 Gu masters, which is very difficult. I must continuously attack within a short period of time. Otherwise, once they discover their comrade is dead, they'll be more vigilant, and my whereabouts will be exposed. Shadow following Gu. Wang Da slowly closed his eyes, silently reciting the incantation. Suddenly, his body quickly transformed into a dark shadow, gliding through the trees. Everything was silent. In a thick bush, a second-rank Gu master of the ancient Moon tribe squatted, sighing boredly. It's really boring. Following these juniors is like being a babysitter. This Gu master muttered softly, completely unaware that a dark shadow had descended and enveloped him. From the shadows, a pair of bony, emaciated hands slowly emerged. These hands were extremely pale, with large joints and 10 protruding, incredibly sharp fingernails stained a purplish-black color, emitting a foul, pungent odor. What is this smell? The Gu master of the Gu Yue clan wrinkled his nose, unconsciously frowning. He wanted to investigate, but it was too late. In an instant, Wang Da, like a venomous snake pouncing on its prey, struck with lightning speed. One hand covered the Gu master's nose and mouth, while the other plunged straight down from behind. The purplish-black fingernails, sharp as knives, easily penetrated the Gu master's body, seizing his heart. The potent poison on the fingernails corroded the heart in a flash, spreading through the bloodstream and throughout the Gu master's entire body. The Gu master stiffened, and he immediately stopped breathing. Although both were second-rank Gu masters, one was ambushing the other. The battle ended as soon as it began. In total, I've used 1/10 of my true essence, leaving 4/10 remaining. Wang Da carefully observed his senses and continued to move, once again dissolving into a black shadow. After a moment, the second sorcerer behind a secluded rock also fell victim to Wang Da's poison. His pupils contracted, and he collapsed to the ground. The poison ravaged his body, his entire body quickly turning purple, 2 streams of dark purple blood gushing from his nostrils. 3/10 of my true essence remaining, Wang Da muttered, once again transforming into a black shadow. Who's there? The third sorcerer, hidden on a branch of a large tree, had long since noticed the abnormality. Just as Wang Da was about to strike, he suddenly turned around, his hands gripping Wang Da's poisoned hands. Damn it, Wang Da sneered, his 10 fingernails rapidly growing 5 centimeters long in an instant, piercing the sorcerer's forearm and tearing through his skin. Blood gushed from his arm, quickly turning purple. Is this the love-saving Gu? The third Gu master, seeing this situation, was instantly terrified, almost to the point of death, as the enormous amount of poisonous gas clung to his face. He knew he had no anti-poison Gu insects on him, and this time he was certain to die. Suddenly, he showed a look of utter despair, roaring, "Then let's die together." He opened his mouth, and suddenly his tongue stuck out. A crescent moonmark appeared on the tip of his tongue, the moonlight Gu residing within. A crescent-shaped blade flashed across Wang Da's left shoulder, piercing through his back. Blood splattered. Wang Da cried out in pain, his body swaying, while the Gu master's eyes rolled back, and he breathed his last. That's right, this is the love-saving Gu. On a sturdy branch, Wang Da stood shakily, a tragic smile on his face. The love-saving poison is hailed as the most potent poison among second-stage Gu worms. To cultivate it, one needs first-stage Gu worms, life-saving grass, widow spider, red needle seed, and the heart of a lover. Everything is for survival. I had to choose strength. This is the enlightenment of the demonic path. Wang Da's eyes were bloodshot, staring intently at the young man in the distance. I gave up love, leaving only familial affection, but you stole it, Fang Yuan, he snarled. I want you to regret what you've done 100,000 times over. Chapter 76, Regret. Kill, Wang Da roared, suddenly leaping into the air and then flying down. Just as he was about to approach his enemy, 3 crescent-shaped blades suddenly shot out, blocking him halfway. Why is there a 4th Gu master? Wang Da felt uneasy. In mid-air, he forcefully spun around, narrowly dodging 2 of the crescent blades. He carefully avoided the remaining one. but it still struck his left leg. Thump! Wang Da fell to the ground, lowering his head to glance at his left leg. The wound was deep and long, and blood was gushing out. Damn it! Wang Da gritted his teeth, mentally activating his goo worm, shadow following goo. In an instant, he transformed into a dark shadow, his speed skyrocketing, silently retreating. At this moment, a goo worm flew out of the air, and at the same time, an old voice rang out. Flash goo, explode. The goo worm suddenly exploded, creating a blinding white light. The dazzling light, so intense it was impossible to see closely, suddenly appeared, illuminating the dim forest. Ah! Wang Da screamed in agony. Under the blinding white light, his body, transformed into a black shadow, was left with nowhere to hide, and he was instantly reverted to his original form. Although the flash goo was only a first-stage goo, and a consumable goo worm at that, it countered Wang Da's shadow following goo. Once the black shadow was dispelled by this blinding white light, the second-stage shadow following goo would need 3 hours of recovery before it could be used again. In nature, everything is balanced, everything has a counter. Although the shadow following goo's concealment ability was very strong, its weakness was also significant. After being countered, Wang Da's heart sank. This fourth goo master was clearly a seasoned veteran, using some kind of goo worm that remained hidden. A truly formidable opponent. More importantly, Wang Da was temporarily unable to use the shadow following goo, leaving him with no way out. I am Gu Yue Tiao. Young man, if you surrender now, perhaps my clan might spare your life. A second-rank goo master with white hair and beard appeared in Wang Da's sight. Spare my life, HMPH. I'll kill you first. Wang Da knew that if he were captured, even more goo masters would come to surround him. He had to quickly deal with this fourth goo master. My true essence is only 2/10 left. Whether it's revenge or saving my life, I must first kill this troublesome old man. Wang Da mustered his spirits and attacked Gu Yue Tiao. Gu Yue Tiao snorted coldly. On his body, every hair and strand of fur instantly grew longer, intertwining to form a white, spiked armor. Seeing this transformation, Wang Da's expression changed. This experienced Gu master was like a hedgehog, leaving Wang Da feeling at a loss for how to attack. Although his I Sheng Li Gu was a top-tier, second-rank poison with incredibly potent venom that killed on contact with blood, it lacked the ability for direct assault and could only be used for sneak attacks. Wang Da only had 2 Gu worms, I Sheng Li and Yu Ying Sui Xing, and if he had one for defense, he wouldn't have been directly hit by the Moonblade. HMPH. If I can't deal with you, I'll kill Fang Yuan first. Wang Da wasn't stupid. His 3 years of experience had made him both cunning and ruthless. His legs raced, intending to row around Gu Yue Tiao, wanting to rush straight in and kill the murderer who had killed his entire family. Don't even think about it, Gu Yue Tiao urged her true essence. A thorn shot out, instantly extending into 2 sharp, screw-like spikes, instantly stretching 5 or 6 feet long, charging straight towards Wang Da. Wang Da crouched, narrowly dodging the 2 white thorns. On his hands, 10 fingernails grew to about half the length of his palms. The faint poisonous smoke, originally purple, now black, swirling around him. Die! Wang Da was fighting like a madman, laughing ferociously as he rapidly approached his target. In his eyes, Fang Yuan's face was filled with astonishment and terror. A bloodthirsty killing intent filled Wang Da's mind. He could almost hear the sound of his claws piercing Fang Yuan's skin. And then Fang Yuan would reluctantly breathe his last. Dream on. Just as success seemed imminent, a figure flashed into view, blocking Wang Da's path. The 5th-ranked second-stage Gu master, not far away, had arrived. It's I.B. Li again. It was a middle-aged man, his expression unwavering as he faced Wang Da's frenzied charge. Stone Skin Gu. True essence erupted from the middle-aged man's entire body, a swirling mass of crimson energy like smoke. His bare hands instantly changed from their natural yellowish hue to a grayish-white. Simultaneously, his arms swelled like inflated balloons, transforming into massive stone arms. The two sides drew ever closer. Wang Da's face contorted with madness, while the middle-aged Gu master remained calm and composed, extending his hands and grasping towards Wang Da. "You think you can catch me so slowly?" Wang Da couldn't help but scoff. The middle-aged sorcerer's hands were covered in an incredibly thick layer of stone skin, impenetrable even to Wang Da's fingernails. However, because these stone arms were so heavy, their speed was very slow, and Wang Da felt he could easily dodge them. "Is that so, Azure Wind Wheel?" the middle-aged sorcerer suddenly shouted, and a swirling green wind, like two bracelets, enveloped his arms. The speed of the stone arms instantly increased. "How? Ugh!" Wang Da's face was filled with astonishment. Struck by the stone arms, he was immediately sent flying. The middle-aged sorcerer's combat experience was extremely rich. If he had used the Azure Windwheel sorcerer at the beginning, Wang Da wouldn't have been so easily hit. Wang Da was swept away by the heavy stone arms, tumbling to the ground, rolling on the earth, feeling as if he was suffocating where his chest had been struck. Splatter. He struggled to stand up, unable to suppress a mouthful of fresh blood. "Only half of my true essence remains. I'm going to die." He checked his vital points, and couldn't help but laugh tragically. He looked at Fang Yuan, who was not far away, his face once again showing a reckless madness. "Even if I'm dying, I want to drag you down with me." Ah! Ignoring his injuries, he charged forward desperately. "Stop him!" The middle-aged Gu master was tense. He was a pure close combat Gu master, without long-range combat Gu insects. And for a moment, he couldn't help from afar. The old Gu master also arrived, his entire body covered in silver hair coiled into a sharp needle, as thick as a finger. The needle flew like a snake, extending more than 5 or 6 meters, piercing Wang Da's body from behind. But Wang Da didn't care, still charging forward. "Die!" he roared, his 10 fingers growing to half a meter long. The middle-aged sorcerer rushed over, his face turning pale at the sight. He was too late to stop it. Just as Wang Da was about to succeed, a burst of jade-blue light erupted from the opposite side. "Jade Skin Gu, facing a life-or-death situation," Fang Zheng frantically cried out. In an instant, his entire body's skin transformed into a solid, jade-like substance. Wang Da's 10 fingers, like blades, lunged forward. Although Ib Li lacked the ability for powerful attacks, the Jade Skin Gu was ultimately only a first-stage Gu worm, unable to withstand Wang Da's claws. "Grr!" The old sorcerer, seeing Fang Zheng about to die, roared in alarm, his eyes wide with rage. More white needles shot out, piercing Wang Da's body. The needles, like snakes, shot from behind Wang Da, wrapping around his neck, arms, and legs. Hot, fresh blood gushed from Wang Da's body, instantly staining his white hair crimson. His entire body was enveloped in white hair, like a wild boar trapped in a snare, pierced by a bamboo spear. Finally, his charge halted, and he took slow, laborious steps. A powerful dizziness overwhelmed him, and Wang Da let out a bitter laugh. He knew death was near, but he was truly unwilling to accept it. His vision was completely blurred, and in this moment of impending death, the images most deeply etched in his mind resurfaced. One air, he couldn't help but call out his wife's name, plunging the sword in his hand into her body. "Why?" His wife looked up, her beautiful face showing astonishment and bewilderment, staring intently into Wang Da's eyes. Wang Da's eyes were bloodshot, his whole body trembling, and he choked out 3 words from between his teeth. "I'm sorry." His wife smiled, her smile filled with love. without a trace of hatred. "I understand," she said. She wanted to reach out her right hand to caress Wang Da's face one last time before dying. But halfway through, her hand fell. Killing his wife for her heart. Cultivating the love separation technique. Gaining power, and embarking on the demonic path. Did he regret it? From then on, Wang Da asked himself countless times. He regretted it. He regretted having to live a life worse than death. Therefore, he swore to himself that he would definitely protect his remaining loved ones. But, if everything were to repeat itself, I would still do the same. Tears streamed from Wang Da's bloodshot eyes. Fang Zheng stared, his whole body flashing with a jade-like light. From beginning to end, he remained deeply immersed in doubt and confusion. A strange, Feng Kuang, crazy, ancient sorcerer charged towards him, looking as if he wanted to skin him alive. Yet he didn't recognize him at all. The pungent smell of death rendered Fang Zheng immobile, his mind blank, only able to unconsciously exert all his strength to urge the jade skin goo. Wang Da's 10 fingers pierced through the jade skin, penetrating only a centimeter before ceasing to move. He was dead. Tears streamed down his face as he died. Finally, "It's over," Fang Zheng gasped for breath, his eyes vacant, seemingly devoid of focus. Then, a powerful dizzying sensation overwhelmed him. Thump. He fell to the ground. The love and separation goo, the most potent poison in the second stage, although it didn't pierce all the skin, had already entered his body. In the story, Wang Da's goo has 2 names, love and separation, and love and separation. Not a typo. These 2 names have similar meanings, signifying love that must end in separation. Perhaps the author named the title Separation from Love after one of the 8 sufferings in Buddhist philosophy: suffering of birth, suffering of old age, suffering of sickness, suffering of death, suffering of separation from loved ones, suffering of encountering those one dislikes, suffering of not obtaining what one desires, suffering of the 5 aggregates. In the previous chapter, the author used separation from love and life, where love and life also means attachment to life. Chapter 77: Yin Deficiency and Yang Misalignment. A wild boar as big as an elephant was wallowing in the mud. Its eyes were closed, half lying, half kneeling, its tusks spotless, gleaming like snow. The setting sun shone on its sleek black fur, its large white belly rising and falling with each breath, letting out a low grunt. A wild boar king. Fang Yuan was several hundred meters away, yet he moved cautiously downwind. Although I can hunt wild boars now, facing this wild boar king, I can only flee. Even a second-rank goo master couldn't kill it. If I can't find the goo worms on its body, I might be doomed. Such kings of beasts usually have goo worms living on their bodies. The wild boar king's body is mostly infested with sand goo, powder sand goo, and flower sand goo, but also beast skin goo or thorny worm goo. In this world, all sorts of goo worms exist. Some live on the bodies of powerful wild beasts, forming a symbiotic relationship. When a wild beast is attacked, the goo worms on its body sense the danger and help it fight off the enemy. This wild boar king has a massive body and strength far exceeding that of an ordinary wild boar. Fang Yuan alone would be no match for it, let alone with one or more unknown goo worms on its body. However, Fang Yuan's main purpose in venturing here wasn't to hunt and kill this wild boar, but to avoid Wang Da's revenge. Wang Da knew Fang Yuan possessed the animal skin map, and from his perspective, Fang Yuan used Fang Yuan's own strategy. He didn't go anywhere, focusing instead on the area marked with a red cross where the wild boar king was located. Although the wild boar king was dangerous, it was still just a wild beast, lacking human intelligence. Old Man Wang, a mere mortal, was able to explore this place and return safely. So why couldn't Fang Yuan? This unconventional act, while seemingly risky, actually concealed a glimmer of hope. Fang Yuan continued his journey, leaving the wild boar king far behind. Looking at the map, his route was a large circle, circling around the red cross, forming a complete arc, finally reaching the mountainside where the elders were stationed, the location of the mid-year assessment. After an hour, a young man carrying a bag trudged to this mountainside. He was covered in weeds, his coarse cloth clothes riddled with thorns, and his feet muddy. This utterly disheveled young man was Fang Yuan. Finally, we've returned safely. Now that we're here, with the elders guarding the place, safety is much more assured. But we can't be careless. Fang Yuan sighed inwardly, slowly ascending the mountainside. A simple tent was set up on the mountainside, and more than 10 students were gathered around it. The academy guards were counting the number of wild boar tusks in the students' bags. The elders who were supposed to be guarding this place were all gone. Only the academy elder remained. The atmosphere seems unusual. Fang Yuan frowned slightly, sensing that something significant had happened. As he approached the tent, he heard the students around him whispering, "Have you heard? An assassination attempt just occurred, and several second-rank Gu masters have died in an instant. Is that true or false?" "That's right. I arrived early and saw with my own eyes Gu Yue Fang Zheng being carried away by several elders. They looked extremely hurried. Gu Yue Fang Zheng is so unlucky to encounter such a thing during the examination." "Ha ha, you don't understand. The opponent's target was Gu Yue Fang Zheng. He has a level aptitude. I wonder if he'll live or die. Even if he doesn't die, he'll suffer greatly. Perhaps after being injured, his aptitude will even be lowered." Fang Yuan's footsteps didn't slow down. His mind was as clear as a mirror, and he immediately deduced the general truth of the matter. Wang Da attacked me, seeking revenge for the murder of his relatives. However, after discovering the wooden house, I immediately changed my route, charging straight into the Boar King's lair. Wang Da didn't anticipate this, and I escaped, but he unexpectedly found Fang Zheng. His intelligence came only from a few hunters. He didn't know I had a twin brother. He thought Fang Zheng was me and wanted to kill him, but was stopped by the surrounding Gu masters. The question now is Wang Da dead? Fang Yuan frowned. Wang Da escaping, Wang Da being captured, Wang Da being killed. All three scenarios affected his plans and subsequent arrangements. After thinking for a moment, Fang Yuan decided to proceed with his original plan. The academy elders' expressions were grim. Fang Zheng had been assassinated. Without any prior knowledge, the old man absolutely did not expect that Fang Zheng was averting disaster for Fang Yuan, but instead immediately thought of the Bai family's village and the Shung family's village. Fang Zheng was the only genius of the armored class in the past 3 years at Gu Yue Mountain Village. Obviously, Bai family village and Shung family village wouldn't sit idly by and watch him grow. They would send Gu masters to assassinate him, crushing him while he was still in his infancy. This was perfectly normal. Even Gu Yue Mountain Village had done this before, secretly sending Gu masters to kill the genius students of the other 2 mountain villages. The assassin was killed on the spot. I wonder how Fang Zheng's injuries are. While the elder of the academy was worried, a guard presented a piece of paper. The elder of the academy took the paper and casually read aloud. The results of this year's mid-year examination are as follows. Gu Yue Chi Cheng, 16 wild boar tusks. Gu Yue Mo Bei, 14 wild boar tusks. At this moment, the attention of the surrounding students was drawn to this. The results were immediately clear. Although the students of the armored class cooperated, they could only harvest 4 wild boar tusks. Students of the lower grades mostly collected 8 or 9 wild boar tusks. Exceeding 10 was considered an outstanding achievement. The best performer was Gu Yue Chi Cheng, with 16 tusks, followed by Gu Yue Mo Bei, and Fang Zheng with 10. Gu Yue Chi Cheng wore a smug expression. He was lucky this time. encountering 2 wild boars fighting, thus benefiting from the situation. Gu Yue Mo Bei was very resentful. He had been surpassed by Gu Yue Chi Cheng. The academy elder continued to announce, "Below. I declare that the first place in this examination is." Wait. At that moment, Fang Yuan pushed his way through the crowd. "Fang Yuan, you're late. The examination ended an hour ago. According to the rules, 4 wild boar tusks you collected will be deducted as punishment." Gu Yue Chi Cheng immediately shouted. Fang Yuan paid no attention to him, simply opening the bag on his back and then emptying it out in front of everyone. Rustle, rustle. Dozens of gleaming white wild boar tusks quickly piled up at his feet. Hey! Chi Cheng's mouth suddenly dropped open. The onlookers from Mo Bei were all wide-eyed. How can there be so many? That's too many. The elder of the academy looked at Fang Yuan, his expression showing a hint of suspicion. Fang Yuan, did you hunt all of these yourself? Fang Yuan bowed and replied, I only personally hunted a dozen or so, but I unexpectedly found a bag, possibly hidden by a hunter, containing many wild boar tusks. I thought about it. The mid-year examination is for students to do their best to collect wild boar tusks in a day. And it doesn't explicitly state that they must kill wild boars, so let's just bring them along. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone immediately started murmuring. How could this be? That's too lucky. This is too unbelievable. Could it be a leaked exam and cheating? The elder of the academy stared at Fang Yuan, and after a long while, he announced, in this examination, Fang Yuan is first place. ... The atmosphere in the family heads hall was quite heavy. Gu Yue Bo sat in the main seat, and the other more than 10 elders sat in 2 rows, their faces all suppressing their anger. Gu Yue Yaoji, you are the top healing Gu master in our family. I ask you, how is Fang Zheng doing? Clan head Gu Yue Bo asked one of the elders. Gu Yue Yaoji was a hunched old woman, her face wrinkled like tree bark. She coughed twice, then slowly said, reporting to the clan leader, the current situation is stable. Fang Zheng's life is not in danger. He is only still unconscious. His aptitude hasn't decreased because of this. It's good that it hasn't decreased. Gu Yue Bo breathed a sigh of relief, then asked the elder of the punishment hall on the left, have you investigated anything about the assassin? The elder of the punishment hall, lacking the seniority of Gu Yue Yaoji, immediately stood up from his seat, bowed slightly, and said, we've investigated. He's 35 years old, male, his identity is unknown, suspected to be a demonic sorcerer, possessing 2 Gu worms, 1 shadow worm and 1 love break separation worm. Gu Yue Bo nodded. It seems to be an assassin. Love break separation worm, the number 1 poison in the 2nd stage. It's not surprising that it could kill 3 Gu worms of our clan. Clan leader, do we still need to investigate this? It must be the Bai family's camp or the Shung family's camp playing tricks. Gu Yue shouted loudly, his eyes blazing with anger. Shadowless insect, beloved separation, these don't seem like the assassins secretly cultivated by the Bai and Shung clans. Perhaps it's an outsider sorcerer seeking refuge in the mountain stronghold, who then received instructions to assassinate Fang Zheng to demonstrate loyalty. Regardless, this matter is absolutely connected to the other 2 strongholds. Gu Yue Mo Chen continued coldly. These 2 powerful elders, though usually at odds, would set aside their individual prejudices and unite when an external enemy appeared. Gu Yue Bo nodded. He agreed. Wang Da had disappeared for 3 years without a trace, and the villagers believed him long dead, making his identity unclear. No one in the Gu Yue high ranks knew this. They usually didn't care about the death of a peasant. They were all focused on the Bai family's village and the Shung family's village. At this moment the elders of the academy entered. Clan chief, the old man said with a worried expression, but before he could finish, Gu Yue Bo replied, elder of the academy, you don't need to worry. Fang Zheng is fine. His talent is still top tier. The elder's expression immediately relaxed. By the way, are the other students safe? How were their results in this examination? What rank did Fang Zheng achieve? Gu Yuebo asked casually. The elder answered honestly, and when he mentioned Fang Yuan's unexpected achievement of finding a bag of wild boar tusks, Gu Yuebo's eyes suddenly gleamed. The hall suddenly fell silent, and the elders understood, beginning to subtly observe their surroundings. The tense atmosphere became delicate. Chapter 78 – An unexpectedly bountiful harvest. In the hall, Clan Chief Gu Yuebo's face was expressionless, his eyes deep and profound, seated high in the main seat. The other 10 or so elders sat upright, their eyes fixed on their noses on their hearts, only subtly glancing left and right, trying to glean some clue from the expressions of those around them. The atmosphere suddenly became delicate. Fang Yuan's first-place win has a profound meaning behind it. He even claimed to have found a bag of wild boar tusks on the road. Those words are too unbelievable. That bag could only have been secretly prepared by someone. Fang Yuan alone couldn't possibly have accomplished this. In other words, someone secretly assisted Fang Yuan. Quote, "This year's mid-year examination is different from before, because more than 10 second-rank Gu masters are needed to supervise. The content of this examination isn't known only to the Academy's elders. Many other elders in the clan also know about it. Only the elders here, perhaps even the clan leader, would want to arrange this matter beforehand." Each elder was a seasoned veteran, having navigated the political arena for many years. Upon hearing this, they immediately considered many possibilities. Fang Zheng possessed a class A talent. If he were trained to the 4th stage, what would he become? Next clan leader. Fang Yuan was Fang Zheng's older brother, although he only possessed Class C talent. Their familial relationship alone made him a valuable investment. For clan leader Gu Yuebo, secretly assisting Fang Yuan and bringing him into his faction would be a very good way to secure Fang Zheng's future. For the elders, Fang Zheng was the only Class A genius in recent years, already within the clan leader's faction. If they could train him, the clan leader's faction would undoubtedly become even stronger. If the clan elders were to recruit Fang Yuan, this blood relationship would make Fang Yuan an extremely valuable pawn to counter Fang Zheng later. Therefore, the more than 10 people sitting here all have motives to help Fang Yuan. But who could it be? Gu Yueqi Lian pondered. I didn't recruit Fang Yuan. So who is secretly helping him? Is it the old man Mo Chen? That's quite possible, although Fang Yuan killed the old man's servants. What are the servants anyway? Even if they all die, it wouldn't matter. The clan leader is even more likely. He recruited Gu Yue Fang Zheng and then brought Gu Yue Fang Yuan over, thus increasing his control over Fang Zheng. However, the previous custom was to start recruiting at the end of the year. Now, it's only mid-year and they've already acted. This is breaking the rules. It's not exactly breaking the rules, but this action is definitely playing by the rules. Who is it that pleases Fang Yuan and values him more than me? Gu Yue Mo Chen was also deep in thought. Asterisk, playing by the rules, a term in table tennis, figuratively referring to an action that falls within the maximum permissible limit of regulations without actually violating them. Similar to bending the rules. In fact, after Fang Yuan killed Gao Wan and then presented the body as a gift, he looked at Fang Yuan with different eyes and even had a slight desire to recruit him. However, this kind of behavior usually happens at the end of the year, when students graduate and leave the academy. Fang Yuan being recruited first caught Gu Yue Mo Chen off guard. Gu Yuebo's gaze was mainly focused on the faces of the 2 current clan elders, Gu Yue Mo Chen and Gu Yueqi Lian. This clan leader was thinking more deeply and profoundly. Fang Yuan's blatant lie, which earned him first place, carried a blatant disregard for everyone's feelings. sending a clear signal to the outside world. I want you all to see this. I've already captured Fang Yuan. He's been taken under my wing, so you'd better not touch him. Who could this person be? In the Gu Yue clan, the political power structure was a three-way struggle. Besides the clan leader, there were Gu Yue Qi Lian and Gu Yue Mo Chen. Gu Yue Bo knew perfectly well that if he hadn't recruited Fang Yuan, the biggest suspects were Gu Yue Qi Lian and Gu Yue Mo Chen. These two old men are getting better and better at acting. Just looking at their expressions, you really can't tell. Could it be that it wasn't them, but some other smaller force? Gu Yue Bo secretly observed and speculated. He didn't know that the other clan elders were also observing, suspecting, and speculating in the same way. The elder of the academy was also speculating, but he remained neutral, detached from the political struggles. So his thinking was much simpler. So Fang Yuan was recruited by an elder. No wonder he voluntarily spared Fang Zheng, Mo Bei, and Qi Cheng when he extorted them. Presumably, the person who recruited him was either the clan leader or an elder from the Qi Lian clan or Mo Chen. This is good news. This shows he has recognized reality and is beginning to integrate into the clan. No matter what, he is a member of the clan. Later, when he fully integrates, he will willingly dedicate his entire life to the clan. After a moment of silence, Gu Yue Bo, seeing no clues, finally spoke. It's impolite to give without giving in return. The other party dares to target Fang Zheng at this moment. Our Gu Yue tribe isn't easily intimidated. We must teach them a lesson. Elder of the Secret Hall, you plan this first, then report back to me. Yes, sir. The elder of the Secret Hall immediately nodded in response. As for Gu Yue Fang Zheng, I'm worried that such a setback will deeply affect him. He has the talent of a high-grade warrior. His intentions towards our tribe are self-evident. From now on, I will personally guide him. Gu Yue Bo added. No elder raised any objections. In fact, many already knew that the clan leader had secretly arranged for Fang Zheng to eat alone for a long time. Now that this matter was being brought up, although it violated the clan's principles, it was justified, and the elders couldn't very well stop him. As for Gu Yue Fang Yuan, Gu Yue Bo deliberately dragged out his words. Suddenly, all the elders pricked up their ears, wondering if the clan leader had secretly helped Fang Yuan. Gu Yue Bo glanced around, observing the expressions of the elders, but he was still disappointed. Therefore, he had to continue. He was able to win first place with his B-grade aptitude, which is very rare. In my personal capacity, I reward him with 30 spirit stones. Elder of the Academy, please tell him to strive harder. Yes, clan leader. The elder of the Academy bowed in acknowledgement. 30 spirit stones. What does this meaningless reward even mean? The elders frowned. No matter who secretly took Fang Yuan in, these 30 primeval stones are a sign of my goodwill. After all, outside of Gu Yue Mountain Village, there are still the Bai family village and the Shun family village. Gu Yue Bo sighed inwardly. Fang Zheng's assassination was an external enemy, while Fang Yuan's cheating was an internal conflict. Dealing with external enemies requires a firm counterattack, but for internal conflict, Clan Chief Gu Yue Bo mainly uses gentle methods to prevent excessive internal conflict from weakening the overall strength of the clan. Alright, let's handle this matter like this for now. Everyone, please leave and do your work well. Whether the clan prospers or not depends on your performance. Gu Yue Bo waved his hand. Yes, Clan Chief, we take our leave. The elders left one by one, and after a moment, only Gu Yue Bo remained in the hall. He sighed deeply, rubbing his temples with his fingers. As the clan leader, he held arguably the highest position of power within the ancient Moon tribe. Yet his life was far from easy. He constantly had to balance various interests. He couldn't simply do whatever he pleased. The clan's power dynamics were complex. with generations of inherited power and long histories, posing numerous obstacles. Externally, he faced the rampant and arrogant Shung family and the rising power of the Bai family. Internally, he had to deal with the intricate political struggles within the clan. Although he was only middle-aged, his temples were already streaked with gray. In these years as clan leader, although resources were abundant, my cultivation progressed slowly, and my spirit was burdened by the complicated affairs of the clan. Sometimes, I truly wish I could become a lone swordsman, free and unrestrained, carefree and relaxed, without burdens. I would naturally move faster, or perhaps even progress further on the path of cultivation. Ancient moon tribes sighed inwardly. Joining a clan system means bearing heavy responsibilities, and with those responsibilities, one cannot be carefree or wholeheartedly devoted to cultivation. But ultimately, without joining a clan system, one will not receive the clan's resources. Without resources, the cultivation of a lone Gu master will be arduous at every step. This creates a contradiction, a vicious cycle. This cycle has bound the futures of countless people, stifling the talents and abilities of many. Wang Da is dead. 3 days later, Fang Yuan received this news. Simultaneously, he also heard from Jiang He that 2 young hunters had indeed gone missing while hunting in the mountains. As for the hunter whose hand Fang Yuan had cut off, he committed suicide at home due to grief. When Jiang He said these words, his gaze towards Fang Yuan held a profound meaning. He had seen Wang Da's corpse before, so he naturally recognized him. However, Jiang He didn't dare reveal Wang Da's true identity. He was a Gu master stationed in the village, bearing responsibility. As long as one was in the system, regardless of rank, they had to take on responsibility. Wang Da had been a demonic Gu master for over 3 years. And Jiang He, as a Gu master stationed in the village, hadn't investigated thoroughly. If he were to truly investigate, it would be a huge stain on his record, almost ruining his future in the family. He had also tried his best to cover up the strange deaths of the 3 craftsmen. Fang Yuan, we're acquaintances now. From now on, when you buy things at my cousin Jiang Ya's shop, you'll get a 50% discount. Jiang He said this to Fang Yuan once. Those who knew about it were all dead. Only 2 people knew the truth, him and Fang Yuan. But if this matter were revealed, it wouldn't have a huge impact on Fang Yuan. He only killed 3 serfs. Even if he killed 30, the clan wouldn't pursue it. At most they would impose some symbolic punishment like more than 10 spirit stones. Jiang He actually offered a bribe, and Fang Yuan naturally didn't refuse. For Fang Yuan, this whole affair was full of surprises and risks from beginning to end. But fortunately, the outcome wasn't bad. After this, Fang Yuan, who had no roots in the clan, gained half an ally and an unseen support system. This mysterious support system was Fang Yuan's second layer of protection. In the future, when he no longer seemed weak, this protection system would play a crucial role, at least supporting him until he reached the second stage of cultivation without causing too much suppression. Currently, he could clearly sense that the elders of the academy's attitude towards him had become gentler. More than 10 years had passed in a flash. After Gu Yue Fang Zheng and Gu Yue Mo Bei, Fang Yuan almost simultaneously with Qi Cheng successfully advanced to the high-level first rank. Although he continued to rob and extort, he no longer stole the spirit stones from Fang Zheng, Mo Bei, and Qi Cheng. He became increasingly humble, and his own strength grew rapidly, several times greater than in his previous life. Chapter 79, The 6th Ancient Creature in the Relic. Time flew by like a fleeting shadow, summer giving way to autumn. In the tunnel, Fang Yuan once again stood before the large rock blocking the path. Because the weather was getting colder, he had put on simple, long-sleeved clothes, but his figure was no longer as thin and frail as it had been a few months ago. His chest, arms, legs, and abdomen all showed clearly defined muscles. These muscles weren't bulging but rather solid, well defined, and combined with Fang Yuan's gradually growing height and fair skin, they gave off a youthful, vibrant feeling. Starting 3 days ago, the white silk goo no longer has the ability to increase strength. In other words, I've gained a considerable amount of strength, which can be considered as achieving the goal of the flower wine practitioner. Today, I will push this round stone again. Fang Yuan's eyes gleamed. He took a step forward with his right foot and a step behind with his left. Forming a bow stance, he touched the outer surface of the stone with both hands, took a deep breath, and pushed hard. Under the force of his hands, the stone began to move extremely slowly, then gradually rolled forward. The tunnel blocked by this large stone sloped upwards. And the stone, crafted into a sphere by the Hua Ju practitioner, was most suitable for rolling. Perhaps this was also his intention, wanting his successor to push the stone, and moreover, to push it upwards. 10 steps, 20 steps, 30 steps. Fang Yuan silently calculated in his mind as he pushed forward step by step. A week ago, I managed 45 steps before my strength ran out, and I had to give up. I wonder how far I can push this time. 40 steps. 45 steps. After a while, Fang Yuan broke his initial record, but he was also extremely tired. 46 steps. 47 steps. Fang Yuan clearly felt that at this point, his physical strength was almost depleted. 48. 49 steps. He exerted all his remaining strength, taking 2 more steps forward. Finally, he couldn't go any further. His whole body was covered in sweat. After using his shoulder and leg to stop the rock, he gasped for breath. Should I give up? Fang Yuan couldn't help but think. This was an upward sloping tunnel, and on the way back, he had to expend a considerable amount of physical strength after all. This rock was going to roll down anyway, and he had to stop it during that process. If he let go and ran, the rock would only roll faster. He didn't want to be crushed into a pulp by the rock because he couldn't avoid it in time. But after thinking it over, Fang Yuan felt a little unwilling, so he pushed a few more steps. 50 steps. He suddenly felt the pressure from the rock lessen. It turned out the rock had rolled onto a flat step. Fang Yuan pushed a few more steps and squeezed past the rock, discovering he had arrived at a secret chamber. This chamber was not much different from the secret cave crevice. Fang Yuan temporarily called it the second secret chamber. The chamber was empty, devoid of any objects, and its 4 walls were all made of a strange, dark red mud that emitted a faint red light. On the other side of the chamber was a rough, gray stone door, likely a hastily made work of the Hua Ju practitioner. Fang Yuan rested for a moment, not immediately pushing the stone door open, but instead made a new discovery. He found a patch of earth in front of the stone door, which looked damp. Could it be? A thought immediately flashed through Fang Yuan's mind. He squatted down, using both hands to brush away the soft, damp mud. The second earth treasury flower. Fang Yuan laughed loudly, carefully opening the petals and taking out the goo worm soaking in the golden flower fluid. He urged his true Yuan, refining it in an instant. This was a jade skin goo, its appearance like a beetle, flat and wide, with a very small head, and a pale green, oval body emitting a jade-green glow. After obtaining the white silk goo, I was wondering where to get another jade skin goo to combine and upgrade into a white jade goo. Unexpectedly, the flower wine practitioner has already prepared one for me. Fang Yuan quickly shifted his thoughts, considering the impact this jade skin goo would have. This was Fang Yuan's 6th goo worm. Although he had 5 goo worms before, none of them could be used for defense. With this jade skin goo, he finally compensated for his defensive shortcomings. Sometimes, defense also means offense. This is not difficult to understand, taking Fang Yuan himself as an example. Through the white silk goo, his strength increased to 1 pig's strength. Theoretically, with such strength, He could shatter a relatively porous rock with a single punch, but Fang Yuan never did so. Because he knew he lacked defensive power, a punch would shatter the rock. But his fist would also be a bloody mess. Now, with the defense provided by the jade skin goo, he can fully utilize his strength. Of course, while there are advantages, there are also disadvantages. The jade skin goo is highly valuable. Its defensive capabilities are outstanding among first-stage goo worms. But it is not easy to cultivate. Every 10 days, it must consume 2 ounces of jade. The value of jade is undeniably precious. The key issue is where to obtain it. Fang Zheng also possesses a jade skin goo, but he has the clan chief backing him, providing him with jade. Fang Yuan would have to buy it, but this is very easy to expose his weaknesses. Previously, when raising the white silk goo, I needed to regularly hunt wild boars, which was quite troublesome. With this jade skin goo, am I supposed to go everywhere digging for ore? Fang Yuan chuckled wryly, a new problem presenting itself. Putting the jade skin goo away and temporarily nurturing it in his aperture, Fang Yuan slowly pushed the stone door. The stone door was heavy. If Fang Yuan hadn't had the white silk goo to strengthen it, he certainly wouldn't have been able to push it open. But now, with just a light push of his hands, the stone door gradually opened. The scene behind the door unfolded before Fang Yuan, and his vision suddenly widened. This place was no longer a narrow tunnel or a cave, but a vast underground stone forest. Fang Yuan glanced around, making a rough calculation. The area of this underground stone forest was at least 30 acres. On Earth, a standard football field is only 11 acres. I must be inside Qingmao Mountain now. This space must have been naturally formed. Fang Yuan looked up at the surrounding cliffs. The cliffs were all 16 meters or more high, and the tops were clearly cliffs. From the top of the cliffs hung down massive, dark red stone pillars. Each pillar emitted a faint red light, as did the surrounding cliffs, similar to tunnels and caves. Although the light inside was dim, it was enough for Fang Yuan to see a few things clearly. Fang Yuan gazed at them. Each pillar looked like an ancient tree stripped of its branches, leaving only its bare trunk. The outer surface of the stone pillars was not smooth, but full of small, deep black cavities. Countless stone pillars, large at the top and small at the bottom, hung down, forming an inverted forest of stones within the mountain. Nature was truly spectacular. Fang Yuan, being knowledgeable, was not surprised, but simply stared at the black cavities on the stone pillars, his eyebrows furrowing more and more. He had begun to understand the intentions behind the arrangement of the jade skin goo by the flower wine practitioner. If I'm not mistaken. Fang Yuan flipped his right hand, shooting out a crescent moon blade. The azure moon blade transformed into a straight streak of light in the air, accurately striking the center of a black cavity on the stone pillar. Immediately, a piercing and angry cry erupted from the cavity. With a whoosh, a gray monkey leaped out from the cavity, attacking Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan fired 3 consecutive crescent moon blades. The monkey couldn't use its mid-air momentum, but its tail was incredibly flexible, constantly swinging, unexpectedly pulling its body and flipping it in mid-air. After dodging 2 crescent moon blades, it was finally struck by the third. With a thud, it fell to the ground, breathless. It was dead, yet not a drop of blood flowed. Its ash-gray body suddenly turned to stone, instantly transforming into a stone monkey statue. The statue's appearance, from its facial expression to its posture as it lay on the ground, was exactly like the monkey before its death. After 2 breaths, the surface of the stone monkey emitted a crisp cracking sound, the cracks quickly covering its entire body from inside out. Then, with a ripping sound, it shattered from its complete form into tiny pieces of stone. Indeed, it's a group of jade-eyed stone monkeys. Fang Yuan approached and sat down, clearing away the rubble and taking out 2 emerald green pearls. These two pearls are the two pupils of the jade-eyed stone monkey. Jade-eyed stone monkey, a type of stone monkey with jade eyes. After this strange creature dies, its entire body turns into gray rubble. Only its pupils will form two jade-like pearls. Each pearl is very heavy, at least one tael, approximately 37.5 grams. This means that simply killing the jade-eyed stone monkey could solve the problem of food for the jade skin goo. But I not only need to feed the jade skin goo, but also continue to inherit the legacy of the flower wine practitioner. The next clue to the flower wine practitioner's legacy must be somewhere in this stone forest. Fang Yuan frowned. This was really troublesome. He took a few steps forward, his eyes carefully observing the stone pillars. When he reached the seventh step, the densely packed cavities on the stone pillar closest to him gradually lit up with pairs of emerald green eyes. Immediately, a drop of cold sweat trickled down Fang Yuan's forehead. He quickly retreated, the countless emerald green pupils in the dark sockets dimming. Clearly, each pair of eyes represented a jade-eyed stone monkey. Jade-eyed stone monkeys were incredibly agile. Fang Yuan had used 4 moon blades to kill one. At least 100 jade-eyed stone monkeys lived on a single stone pillar. And who knows how many more there were throughout this rocky forest. With Fang Yuan's current strength, being surrounded and attacked by 4 monkeys would mean certain death. Even considering the defense of the jade skin goo, Fang Yuan alone could at most fight 12 monkeys. Fortunately, these monkeys usually sleep soundly in rock crevices, gnawing on nearby rocks when hungry or thirsty. The rock pillars serve as both their homes and food sources. Unless you approach them within 10 meters or deliberately provoke them, they won't come out. In earthly terms, they are a pack of reclusive monkeys. Chapter 80. Combat power increases significantly. The autumn wind was bleak. Red leaves fluttering. The weeds were dry and yellow. Branches laden with orange or reddish-brown wild berries. Grr, a black wild boar, its mane bristling, charged forward. The mountain ground was covered in a thick layer of fallen leaves. The boar rushed forward, its tail whipping in the wind, leaves swirling behind it. Fang Yuan stood silently, watching the boar get closer and closer, his face cold. Kill. Suddenly, he took a long stride forward, then alternately stepped out with both feet. He neither dodged nor evaded, ferociously charging straight towards the boar. The boar's snow-white tusks pierced the air, radiating intense killing intent. Fang Yuan dodged the tusks, his shoulder sinking, slamming into the boar's head. Just before impact, a faint green light appeared on Fang Yuan's shoulder. Jade skin goo. Boom. A dull thud echoed as the two crashed into each other. Fang Yuan retreated 3 steps, while the wild boar only retreated 1 step. In truth, Fang Yuan's strength was slightly superior, but he only charged forward on 2 legs, which couldn't match the boar's 4 legs. Furthermore, the boar's center of gravity was much more stable than Fang Yuan's. However, despite remaining standing, Fang Yuan's headbutt caused the boar's massive body to sway. Fang Yuan roared, charging forward again. His left hand grasped the boar's tusk, his right fist raised high, a faint green light forming a thin film covering the surface of his fist. Thump! His fist slammed down fiercely, causing the boar to cry out in pain and struggle. Fang Yuan's left arm tensed, gripping the boar tightly, veins bulging like wriggling worms. Simultaneously, his right fist rose and fell with immense force. Thump, thump, thump. Each time his fist slammed down on the wild boar's head, the emerald green light on his fist flared up. The wild boar was stunned by the blows, its struggling strength diminishing. One final blow. Fang Yuan's eyes flashed like lightning. He straightened his upper body, extended his right arm to its highest point, then bent his elbow and slammed it down with a thunderous roar. The emerald green light clung to Fang Yuan's right elbow, transforming into a streak of green light in the air with his movement. Thump! Fang Yuan knelt on one knee, his elbow brutally shattering the wild boar's skull. Finally, before the wild boar could even let out a scream, it fell silent. A wild boar's head, completely deformed, its white skull shattered and pierced through the skin, protruding outwards. Fresh blood and brain matter slowly seeped out, dripping onto the thick layer of fallen leaves, staining the ground a vibrant crimson. A rustling autumn wind blew, carrying away the fallen leaves and dissipating the heat emanating from the boar's blood. Life, radiant as summer flowers. Death, beautiful as autumn leaves. Fang Yuan murmured, savoring this scene of life and death. The living were brilliant and radiant, the dead desolate and silent. The stark contrast between life and death highlighted both the cruelty of nature and the wonder of existence. No matter what world it is, the victor shines brightly, while the loser is cold and withered. The difference between victory and defeat, for me, is the difference between life and death. For on the path of demonic cultivation, failure is synonymous with death. Fang Yuan sat cross-legged, leaning against the boar's carcass. He released the white serpent goo, letting it devour the wild boar, while simultaneously channeling a portion of his spiritual energy into the void within his body. The dark green, bronze-colored origin sea within the void surged and rippled, its waves rising and falling. At its peak, the origin sea occupied 4/4 of its volume. During the recent fierce battle, Fang Yuan had repeatedly used the jade skin goo to enhance his defense, thus depleting his true essence. He now only had 3/6 remaining. To put it another way, he had only consumed 8 parts of his true essence, not even 1/10, but because this was the dark green true essence of a peak first-rank cultivator, this was a significant expenditure. First rank. Early stage true essence is green. First rank. Middle stage true essence is cyan. First rank. High stage true essence is dark green. First rank peak stage true essence is dark green. The darker the color, the more refined it is. Each use of the moonlight goo requires 1/10 of green true essence. If it's cyan true essence, only 1/2 is needed. If it's dark green true essence, it's halved, and so is the same for deep green true essence. In other words, 1/10 of deep green true essence is equivalent to 2/10 of dark green, 4/10 of cyan, and 8/10 of green. Using the jade skin goo consumes 8/10 of deep green true essence, which, when converted to first stage green true essence, would be 6/10 and 4/10. If Fang Yuan was still in the early stage, with only 4/10 of true essence in his aperture, he would only need to use half of it, and the essence C in his aperture would be completely depleted. The higher the cultivation level of an ancient master, the stronger their combat power, which is reflected in the true essence. The higher the level, the darker the color of the true essence, and the longer it lasts. But this dark green true essence of mine was refined by the wineworm to obtain high-level true essence. Unlike Fang Zheng, who has now advanced to the peak of the first transformation. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan's eyes flickered. Time flew by, and it was now late autumn. More than 2 months had passed since Wang Da's assassination attempt. Fang Zheng was poisoned and unconscious for 7 days and 7 nights. After waking up, he seemed to have transformed into a different person, becoming incredibly diligent and cultivating extremely hard. Some say that every setback in life is a precious asset. Whether this is true or not, from this setback, Fang Zheng truly understood something. He was like a rough gem that had been polished, revealing the magnificent gem within. He was the first student to advance to a higher stage, and not long after, he was the first to reach the peak of the first transformation. Once again leaving his peers far behind, the aura of his A-grade talent had begun to radiate from him. I'm not far from the peak. At most 10 days to half a month. Besides, I've never stopped cultivating my apertures for a single day. It's just that now, my C-grade talent can't be compared to A-grade or B-grade talent. At the same time, there's another reason. Fang Yuan thought of this and a forced smile appeared on his lips. Every so often, he had to hunt a jade-eyed stone monkey to feed the jade skin goo. At the same time, he had to constantly search for the next clue to the flower wine practitioner's inheritance. The rocky forest terrain was quite complex, with each stone pillar planted perpendicularly into the ground. If Fang Yuan wasn't careful, he would get too close to the pillars, thus attracting the monkey's attacks. There were many times when Fang Yuan was chased by over a dozen jade-eyed stone monkeys. The most dangerous incident occurred during a retreat when he stepped into the protective barrier of another stone pillar, leading to two groups of over 100 monkeys pursuing him. Fortunately, the jade-eyed stone monkeys were homebodies. They didn't pursue him too far, only chasing him a certain distance before returning to their hiding places. Even so, Fang Yuan still faced life-threatening situations several times. However, at crucial moments, the jade skin goo demonstrated excellent defensive capabilities. Such probing consumed a great deal of Fang Yuan's time and energy, which was the biggest reason his cultivation progress slowed down somewhat. Even so, it's much better than my previous life, and exploring the rocky forest hasn't been without results either. At least I know there's nothing around the perimeter of the cliff. And my preliminary guess is that the next clue to the inheritance must be in the rocky forest. As Fang Yuan was thinking, a dark figure stepped onto a dry branch and approached him. It was a wandering old wolf. It had yellow fur, a limp, and one eye was blind, leaving only its left eye, which emitted a cruel and sharp gaze. It stared at Fang Yuan, its nostrils twitching. Wolves, like dogs, have always had a keen sense of smell. This wolf was likely attracted by the scent of the wild boar's fresh blood. Wolves are generally pack animals, but there are also crippled, wandering wolves like this one. Within the pack, there's competition. To maintain the pack's strength, they will eliminate some old, crippled wolves with low fighting power. Fang Yuan quickly stood up, silently observing the wolf. This old wolf. Previously, killing just one wild boar would leave him with very little vital energy, significantly reducing his fighting power. Whenever he encountered a troublesome beast, he would choose to evade it. But this month, his fighting power has increased dramatically. Now, with the jade skin goo in his hand, he's more than capable of dealing with a crippled wolf. The leaves on the mountain turned red. The setting sun shone late. A man and a wolf stood 50 paces apart, silently staring at each other. A cruel and cunning green light flickered in the wolf's eyes. Fang Yuan's eyes, however, were deep and dark, his pupils as black as ink. Coldly observing, the white silk goo emerged, having eaten its fill, and contentedly flew back into Fang Yuan's spatial aperture. The old wolf glanced at the wild boar on the ground, now just bones and skin, its flesh almost completely devoured by the white silk goo. The green light in the wolf's eyes narrowed. Then it retreated a few steps before turning and disappearing into the forest. The fact that this old wolf could survive until now was quite remarkable. Possessing a certain level of intelligence, it keenly recognized Fang Yuan's terrifying power, so it cautiously chose to retreat. It arrived suddenly and departed just as quickly. Unlike the boar that charged forward with a roar, or the ferocious tiger that snarled and growled, it began its duel with Fang Yuan in silence and ended it in stillness. By the law of life and death, who knows how many spectacular things nature has conceived? Fang Yuan stood still, not pursuing the wolf. There was nothing on this old wolf's body worth his attention. Grr! But immediately afterward, a mournful howl suddenly erupted from the old wolf. The howl stopped abruptly, and a thick scent of death spread. Crack! Crack! Not long after, the sound of dry branches being crushed echoed from the forest on the other side. The sounds were unrestrained and grew closer and closer, causing Fang Yuan's pupils to narrow. In just a moment, he managed to deal with that cunning old wolf. A cold glint flashed in his eyes. You've just finished watching the episode 8 of the Reverend Insanity series on the Midnight Story Bureau YouTube channel. Please leave any comments or suggestions in the comment section. And don't forget to like and subscribe to give me motivation to make more videos.